The Myford University Podcast, episode 44. Today's topic, the higher education industrial complex, is the Borg. Welcome back to Myford University Podcast, everybody. I'm George Sloan. Today we're talking about something big, something almost science fiction. If you're a Star Trek Next Generation fan, you'll remember the Borg, a faceless collective, a hive mind that moves through the galaxy, assimilating everything in its path. Their mantra was simple: we will assimilate you. Resistance is futile. Now here's the twist. I'm going to argue that the higher education industrial complex, in other words, the multi-trillion-dollar empire of universities, student loans, accreditation boards, and so forth, is the Borg. They want to assimilate you. They want you to believe theirs is the only way, and they want to convince you that resistance is futile. But I'm here to say, bullshit. Resistance isn't futile, it's survival. And today, we're going to explore the alternatives. So, the Borg-like nature of higher education, think about it for a second. The Borg assimilates species. Higher education assimilates students. The Borg insists there's one way to exist. Higher education insists there's one way to succeed, the degree. The Borg crushes resistance with force. Higher education crushes resistance with the narrative, go to college or else. The Borg extracts your value to keep itself alive, and higher education extracts your money, your time, and your opportunity. It's not about you. It's about feeding the machine. And that's exactly what it's turned into. It's turned into a machine, folks. You know, we've all been brainwashed into believing that it's the only way. And I'm here to tell you it's not. So let's talk about some of the cracks in the armor. You know, there is good news in this situation. Just like Starfleet found a way and ways to fight back, the Borg of higher education is breaking down. What do I mean by that? Well, let's look at a few things. Enrollment is dropping. Millions of fewer students more than a decade ago. ROI is collapsing. Tuition has gone up 400% at least in the last 30 years, while wages have stagnated. Employers are waking up too. We've talked about this before. Big names like Google and Tesla are dropping their degree requirements. They really care about the skills. Can you do things? Can you solve problems? Can you deliver results? Next, alternatives are booming. There are apprenticeships, there are certifications, there are online courses, there's small business ownership, are just a few things that are on the rise. The story you were told that a degree was the only path is falling apart. It's not the only way. So let's talk about the alternatives. We've talked about them before, but repetition is the mother of learning. We'll go over them again. So if you refuse assimilation, what are your options? Well, let's walk through them. Number one, you can do trade schools. Skip the 4 years of theory, and in 1 to 2 years, sometimes less, you can become an electrician, a plumber, a welder, or an HVAC tech. You'll earn $50,000 to $90,000, often more than a college grad, right out of the gate. These jobs are resistant to AI and to outsourcing. Number two, apprenticeships. This is the oldest form of education. Learn under a master, get paid, and leave with experience instead of debt. Whether it's in construction, IT, healthcare, apprenticeships are blending earning with learning. And we love that concept. Why should you pay to learn when you can be paid to learn? Another one, certifications. Instead of going for 4 years for one degree, why don't you stack a few credentials in a matter of months? You could go and get, AWS certificates, that's Amazon Web Services. You can get CompTIA. You can get a PMP. I have one of those. You can get Google career certificates. Again, short, focused, respected by many employers. I've also gotten certifications in Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. I've gotten scrum.org certifications, PSM1, PSPO1, and many, many others. So there are a number of things you can do, and they're really quick. You can get them in a matter of weeks or months at most. Another approach, online courses and boot camps. This is where the Borg starts to panic. Platforms like Coursera, Udemy, and boot camps democratize learning. And there are direct challengers. I've created Myford University with this concept in mind. We're going to strip away the fluff and the filler and the bullshit of college and deliver what really matters. The core skills, the frameworks, the tools of a college, MBA, or even a PhD degree compressed into programs that you can complete in a matter of days or weeks instead of years at a fraction of the course cost of a full course of degree credits. Myford's philosophy is simple. You can learn it fast, apply it faster, and build deliverables that prove your worth. Here's another approach, and I've said this several times, entrepreneurship. Why study small business cases when you can run a real business? Start small, do some consulting, do cleaning, do digital products, do landscaping, or even e-commerce. Learn by doing, fall fast, iterate, and succeed. And here's the other thing I've said about small businesses. If you go and you do it for 10 years and you make a good living and you build it up quite well, you've gotten yourself better than an MBA, because at the end of it, you can sell it. It has what I call, and in finance we call, terminal value. In other words, you can sell it to somebody else. So not only did you collect the cash flow of the business as you owned it over the years, but you can sell it and get a payoff at the end. Can you sell back your degree? I don't think you can. Another approach, get experience first and then get the degree later. I've been saying this a little bit lately. Flip the script around, get a job, build some experience, and let your employer pay for a credential later, even if you need it. In other words, college will always be there if you feel you absolutely positively have to do it. But quite frankly, in this day and age, you don't. But it's still there. Why not go get a job, get paid, find out what you're good at, find out what you like or don't like, and then build upon it. Go and do self-education. Go and get credentials. And if you still feel the need, go get the degree later, and hopefully your employer pays for it. The other approach is DIY university. Design your own education, books, podcasts, mentorships, online communities, real-world projects. You don't have to be given a project by your employer. You can create your own project, and sometimes projects turn into businesses. Build your own portfolio of work samples that demonstrate the value that you can deliver instead of collecting credits. Okay, so those are some of the alternatives. Let's talk about how you resist the assimilation. How do you actually do it? Well, I'll give you a couple steps. 1, question the narrative. Ask yourself, who benefits if you go $100,000 to $300,000 in debt? Spoiler, it's not you. Run the math. Compare the ROI, or return on investment. College versus trade school versus certifications. Don't just trust and follow the script that you hear, the narrative that you hear from college recruiters. Number 3, test the alternatives. Try a certification. Take a side hustle. Shadow a mentor. Number 4, build a portfolio. Employers want to see what you can do, not what you sat through. And boy, do you sit through a lot going to get a degree. A lot of it's unnecessary. It's fluff. It's filler. Believe me, I've been on both sides. I used to be an adjunct professor, and many times, and I've said this before, I felt I could probably teach them in a matter of hours. I could do the whole course in a matter of hours. But because of accreditation requirements for the degrees, you have to sit there hour on hour on hour, days and days and weeks to go through an entire semester. It's crazy. Number 5, find your tribe. Go join communities of self-educators, entrepreneurs, and builders. Look for like-minded people. There are ways to avoid it. Okay, we're going to make this one a short one today. Here's the bottom line. I'm going to give you the conclusion of this whole thing. The Borg were wrong. Resistance isn't futile, it's survival. And in education, the same is true. You don't need to be assimilated into the system that's bloated, overpriced, and increasingly irrelevant. You have alternatives. That's really the kicker of the whole thing. What used to work for your father or your grandfather or grandmother, it doesn't work anymore. College and higher education in the traditional format is outdated. We live in a different world. It's expensive, it's slow, it's outdated. It just doesn't make sense anymore. Again, I've given the caveat before. Sometimes when it comes to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, or law or education, where there's certain artificial requirements built in, you have to do it. But for most other things, you don't need college. You really don't need an MBA. You just need the knowledge and skills of those people. Same thing with a PhD. So you have alternatives, and we've talked about some of them before. I talked about some just now. Trade schools, apprenticeships, certifications, online programs like Myford University, for example, entrepreneurship, experience first pathways, DIY education, self-curate. I talk about that a lot. The higher education industrial complex wants you to believe there's no choice, but you do have a choice. You got several choices. Sometimes you might do a hybrid approach. And if you resist, you can build a career, a business, and a future on your own terms for a lot less money and possibly more ROI than you could ever imagine. So, to borrow from Captain Picard, the line must be drawn here, this far and no further. Refuse assimilation, choose freedom, and build your own path. Want to thank you for listening. Don't keep us a secret. Please give us a like, give us a share, tell somebody else about us. We want to share our knowledge and information with you, and more importantly, again, we want you to learn the knowledge and skills fast, but we want you to apply it even faster so that you get positive results and outcomes. Visit us at myforduniversity.com, and we'll see you the next time. Thank you.